Anyway, we're going to go inside a very important half an hour now, brought to you, of course, with the compliments of your health. I like to put it like that. We're going to be looking after your heart. We got two gentlemen in our studios that will have a chat with us. We want to say good morning to Ken. Good morning, Ken. Good morning. And good morning to Dr. Stan.
Good morning.
All right, good guys. Good to have you here. All right, we're talking about heart, cardiovascular diseases and all that. Dr. Stan, where you want to start on this? And I mean, we've got so many things, as I mentioned to you, off here killing us today. Where do we stand as far as this one is concerned?
Well, this happens to be very, very topical at the moment, but just to give folks in 30 seconds a little overview of who I am. My name is Dr. Stan Odle. I operate presently Health Earth Clinic on Grisette's Main Road. Solid background in the pure sciences, physics, chemistry, biology. Educated in Britain, where I work for major pharmaceutical companies making the very drugs that go on the drugstore shelves. So I like to say I know what's going on the other side of the fence. Then I got into natural medicine thanks to a strong upbringing by my grandmom, who was steeped in herbs, I like to say. Lived to be 103 years old until she passed, God rest her soul. But my focus recently, Admiral, in this situation, health, chronic diseases, is because we're seeing in Barbados and throughout the Caribbean, nations that we all love, an extremely high incidence of illnesses that should not be plaguing folks that would have had some exposure to herbal medicine for years and years through grandparents and parents' use thereof. So I'm very concerned about that. I'm very concerned for the number of young people that we have in this country that are in a position 10 years from now to become very, very sick because the eating, drinking, forget the thinking for a minute, that affects your health as well, in a unwise fashion, to put it mildly.
All right, well, I guess that sets the base for what we can have a strong discussion on here. Well, there's so many things that we've gone through as it relates to the development of all these various cancers and diseases that we end up suffering in our old age. And I think one of the very simple ones is a lack of the ingestion of water at an early age. We're going along.
Sure. Great observation. Folks, and they probably drink water at the wrong times, drink habit. It's a very nasty habit as far as I'm concerned, to be presented with a glass of water when you go to a restaurant, and most of the time, not most of the time, virtually all the time, it's cold water, freezing cold water. You know, half a dozen blocks of ice in a glass. And folks from the Far East never do that. They tend to drink, you know, Chinese,
warm,
Japanese, hot tea.
Yes.
A little bit of a small cup, small tincture of a brew after a meal. So we're using water at the wrong time, the wrong place. Certainly we should not be drinking any quantity of fluid during meals or immediately after meal. It messes up the digestion, but that's taken us in a slightly different direction.
Yeah, because
it's poor health habits anyhow.
Because I wanted to come back to that. We came with the intention to deal with the whole cardiovascular thing, and this is the risk. So how do we get ourselves now to focus in on cardiovascular? What are some of the habits that, you know, we would have practiced over the years that would eventually lead us to this stage?
First of all, before I answer that, just let me say how proud I was of an article I saw that appeared in I think it was the Nation newspaper, September 20th, a few weeks back, where our Prime Minister apparently was in the UN and made a bold statement, pushing an idea that I've been suggesting for the last year and a half. And on Morning Barbados television about 2-3 months ago, I said the same thing, that unless we stop this madness in this country with the rise of chronic non-communicables, we're going to bankrupt this beautiful island. So I was really heartened and pleased when I saw the article that appeared where Prime Minister Stewart was asking or suggesting that, hey, we need to take a look at the rise of chronic non-communicables. Nobody, Admiral, wants to get out there and talk about this. And I'm saying unless we put a halt to this trend, and we're going to go through the list of what we consider the non-communicants in a minute.
Yeah.
We're going to bankrupt this country. Tens of millions of Barbados dollars every single month will have to come out from the budget into the healthcare arena to balance the healthcare portion of the economy, and it's not going to be good for Barbados or Barbadians going forward. And we need to look at that. But heart disease, and we're having so many examples of folks, both well-known and not so well-known, dropping down like flies. I mentioned 2 years we got started, Brother Reefer, Elvis Reefer, and I was able to talk to his wife, Carol Roberts, shortly after he passed, and you know, obviously the guy went to bed and didn't wake up. Apparently, that's what we understand. Obviously, I wasn't in a position to read the autopsy, but I believe it was a situation we call sudden cardiac death. You have a heart attack in the middle of the night, and little hope that you may recover. There are opportunities for folks in Barbados and the rest of the Caribbean islands where I'm concentrating my effort to educate the masses
to prevent the incidents.
And to prevent this. This is all preventable. Lifestyle and dietary choices, and then there are powerful nutraceutical products now available. We're going to be introducing and talking about one today that has Nobel Prize winning medical science behind it. So here's an item. Yes, you've got to make adjustments to your diet and lifestyle, but what you eat and drink and so on. But here's a product I want to introduce, and I did that on Morning Barbados a few months ago, where I said to the folks interviewing me, if taking one cardiovascular disease, diabetes, if we're able to get this product, Proarginine Plus, into the hands of every single diabetic in this country, we could save this government and any administration to follow thereafter tens of millions of Barbados dollars every single month in healthcare costs. One disease, diabetes.
What is its role? What does it do?
It's great. Funny you should ask that. Great question, which leads me into a little bit of the science behind the thing. Proarginine Plus, put out by a company called Synergy in North America, boasts an incredible ingredient which has had tremendous medical research, over 40 years of serious research. This ingredient, or this nutrient, is called L-arginine. It's an amino acid which is natural to the body, one of some 21, 22 amino acids that God in His wisdom has placed in our bodies. But more importantly, what medical researchers have found that this amino acid does, in fact, as you age, as you get caught up in diseases of aging, the levels of this nutrient tend to plummet. And outside of that, they were looking at what's called the mechanism of action. How does this work? How is it that when we elevate the levels of L-arginine within the system, all of a sudden we can reverse heart attacks, we can reverse strokes, we can reverse kidney dysfunction. That too, by the way, is a circulation disease. We can turn around, thanks Ken, erectile issues, Alzheimer's, in a situation where the medical community for years were thinking this is a neurological problem. All of a sudden we now understand it's a circulation thing. So what's happened? How is this brought about? By increasing the levels of L-arginine within the human system, all of a sudden you can quell or reverse these adverse happenings within the human physiology. It's because of a magical molecule, Admiral, that's produced as a result of improving or increasing the levels of L-arginine. This substance is called nitric oxide. In chemistry, we call it laughing gas. It is termed laughing gas. And I say jokingly to my patients that God has the laugh last. He has a sense of humor. In medical research, we found that when the levels of nitric oxide in the human body is elevated, all of a sudden now the arteries become dilated, they're smooth and pliable, blood flow is increased. In fact, the research that won the Nobel Prize in Medicine, the company that brought out Viagra, contacted the researchers that brought this finding to the world and as a result got them the award of the Nobel Prize in Medicine in 1998. Decided to find a not so natural path, a pharmaceutical approach to delivering nitric oxide to the body, and that is how or why Viagra was born. So this product, one of the beautiful side effects that most men would like to hear about, that this product has, is that it helps with erection issues. And erectile dysfunction or impotency issues is a circulation disease. And it normally accompanies folks that are diabetic or pre-diabetic, hypertensive states of the body as well. If I can just go back for a second and just let you know how prevalent heart disease is. In America, it's the #1 killer in the world, and it probably is the #1 killer here, second to probably cancer, in Barbados and the Caribbean. In the United States, every 20 seconds, one person succumbs to a heart attack. Heart disease, there are over 1 million deaths every single year as a result of heart disease. Remember 9/11, over 2,500 persons perished on that fateful day in September 11th, a few years back. What if I told you in the United States, every single day, more than 2,600 persons drop dead from heart disease? In other words, they have a 9/11 every single day, but nobody's paying attention to that. This is why the administration that is there in charge now have decided to take more preventative strategies, more proactive approaches to these problems. And I like that way of thinking, because we have to stop this nonsense of looking at awareness. We have all these awareness days. This is Diabetic Awareness Month, or this Awareness Month. We need to focus on prevention months, adopting strategies and protocols that will prevent these horrors in human suffering, rather than trying to bring awareness to the issue. We've been aware of these diseases for many, many years. My thing is, what are we doing about it? What are we prepared to do? Are we prepared to educate the children who go into the supermarkets and are dictating to parents, mothers and fathers, oh, I need this and I need that, put it in the supermarket cart? Why should you allow your child to do that? I'm not being a monster. What the point I'm trying to make, Admiral, is this. When this happens, your child or our children are influenced by what they see on television. And a lot of what we see on television by way of adverts for foods are deleterious foods. They're not healthy foods. They're snacks and a bunch of junk. And your child is being brainwashed into taking this and putting it in the supermarket cart. And unless you have the discipline or the wisdom to know that this is not a healthy option, you bring it into your home, your child ingests it, you give them monies for, as far as I'm concerned, far too much money at lunchtime in the school period. So they're buying all of this junk outside the school gates, and I think that should be regularized as well. I have a very strong view on that. We allow people to stand outside our schools and sell a lot of poison. And then we wonder why our kids are having retention issues and ADD and ADHD issues, when it's a bunch of junk that we're allowing our children to eat.
You and I could do a separate program on that. I think we've got a very similar feeling where that is concerned. Pro RG9 Plus, let me ask you, this is available.
Yes.
In Bar. You're going to tell us first how this is available, because I guess people who are listening will be writing right now.
Absolutely. Folks can contact Ken here.
You can contact Ken at 424-0021.
424-0021
or 230-1097. And if